Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over a few things about the lab portion of the class. And I want to start out by just showing you a few things on the Blackboard site. So once you come to the Blackboard site, this is the first screen you'll see where you have some of the links for the Mastering Chemistry stuff. You can also come to the home page, and this might be a useful place to start if you haven't come to the Blackboard in a day or so, because it will show you some of the new announcements, maybe things you've missed in terms of assignments that have been added, things like that. You can also come directly to the announcements. This is one of the main ways I will communicate with you in terms of sending the entire class an email, and it's also one of the ways your lecture professor will communicate with you. So make sure you check those, pretty much every day just to see what's going on with the class. Check your email, see if we've sent anything to you guys. I'm just letting you know what's going on. Okay, and then once you're ready to look at things for the lab, you can come to the lab section right here on the left side. Just click on this tab that says lab, and this is pretty much where you'll find everything having to do with the lab portion of the class. Okay, so I'm probably going to stick to one tab over here. If I feel like I need another one, I'll add another one. But I'm probably going to try to keep it as simple as I can. So the first thing you'll see once you get into this section is the lab schedule. Okay, so this will give you an idea of what lab you're supposed to be working on those weeks. So you can see I just have the weeks 1 through 8 numbered out. We're an 8-week course, so that's pretty much everything. Then I'll just tell you what week it is, so the first day of the week. So this week is 8/24. And then I'll tell you which lab you're supposed to be working on that week. So you'll have 2 labs every week, so one for Monday, one for Wednesday. That's the way the class would traditionally meet. Okay, so what I've done though is I've given you some freedom in terms of when exactly you want to do these labs during the week. So you can see that I've assigned you 2 labs every week, but I've given you the entire week to do those labs. Okay, so you have all the way from Monday until the following Monday to actually complete each lab. So you can see the lab safety I want you to do by Friday of this week, and that's just so that before you really dig into some of the wet labs, we can make sure and get that safety stuff in. And I'll talk more about that in a separate video when I just talk about the safety stuff. But you can see in general you'll have from the whole week and then the weekend to complete the lab. And I've done it that way so that if you have trouble at home, maybe finding a space to do this, or maybe you need supervision, it's always good to have someone around when you're doing the labs. This gives you lots of time to try to set up the best conditions. So if you need to go to your cousin's house or something like that to find a space to do the labs, you can do that. So you have lots and lots of time during the week and the weekend to get your parents' help or whatever it is to try to make do the best you can with the labs. And that'll be especially important once we get into the wet labs. And you can see from the schedule that I'm starting you off with just some paper labs, so online labs where you don't need your lab kit. So if you don't have your lab kit yet, that's okay. So we'll start out with just some labs that you'll do online. So some will be through simulation, some will be through video, and some will be through reading. And you see I've designated all the labs where you need the kit as wet labs. So these are all towards the end. So again, if you don't have your lab kit just yet, don't freak out. It's okay. I'm going to start you out with just some online labs. Okay, then as we progress through the semester, we'll get into the wet labs. And again, you can see I've always given you an entire week and the weekend to complete those and then turn them in. Okay, and down here I have a note that just says that I can change the schedule if I choose, and that's mainly going to be down to do the lab kits get delayed. If half of you don't have the lab kit, well, that's not going to be fair, is it? Okay, so I may change that if I need to. I'm going to switch to this screen. I just have a little checklist for myself to make sure I cover everything I want to say. So again, just the schedule. Office hours. So this is going to be a way for you to come talk to me if you have questions or if you're concerned about something. And that will be Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. And that will be on the Blackboard Collaborate. So if you come to the side tab, let's see. if you come to the side tab and you find this live sessions and office hours, what you should see here is this live office hours, and this will be a reoccurring thing where it'll always be here. You just click on it, and you'll be able to access into the Blackboard Collaborate, and I'll be there in case you have any questions, and I'll be there from 2 to 3 o'clock. And that way, if you have a concern about, oh, I'm not quite sure how to do this lab, or I have a question over something like that, I'll be there to help you with that. And if for some reason that doesn't work for you, I'm always willing to set up office hours outside of this with you. That's no problem to me. We'll just have to pick a time that works for both of us, and we can meet just in case you have any questions at all. I'm always open to doing that. Okay, the lab schedule we talked about. The due dates we talked about. Again, I gave you the whole week and the weekend to complete these things. That way, if you run into problems, or again, trying to find a good space to work on the labs may be difficult, I know. So you have plenty of time there. Okay, and just briefly, let's go back into the Blackboard. And what you'll find is, so again, the lab schedule. And then down below, you'll see things like a folder. So it just says week number 1. Okay, so what I mean by that is, okay, week 1, this is where you'll find the assignments that you need to do for week 1. So the first thing you'll see for week number 1 is the lab safety. Okay, so there's lots of stuff for you to do here. And I will go over that again in just a separate video, just to kind of keep it a little more brief. And then you will find, so here's the second lab. Okay, and I'd probably add a tag on there that says lab 1, lab 2, that kind of thing. And so you'll see things like videos, and then you'll see things down below. So the experiment, and then the report sheet. So every lab will be broken down into a reading assignment that has more like background information, and it has the procedure and the questions and all that kind of stuff that you need to do. And then the report sheet is what you'll actually turn in to me. Okay, so you'll have a reading assignment, and then you'll have an actual report sheet. Okay, and I'll go over each one of these in more detail when it comes. So right now I just want to give you kind of an overview. And then what you'll also see is you'll find a place to turn in the report sheet. So generally, I'll try to tag it with something like, turn in here, something like that, so you know exactly what's going on there. So that is where you will submit each assignment. So all I'll really generally need back from you, unless there's something extra with the lab, is this report sheet. So that's the basics of what will be expected of you. And so I have given you some freedom here, but keep in mind, you're still responsible for keeping up with the schedule. Okay, so since you do have plenty of time to complete everything, I'm going to take something like 10 points off every day you're late. Okay, so I don't want to be too harsh with that, but you do have lots of time to work on these. And if there is a problem, where something really bad happens and you can't complete a lab, please talk to me about that. Don't just sit back and, just take the punishment and thinking I'm not reasonable, because I am reasonable. Okay? But that's basically what you're going to be expected to do with the lab. So just be sure you're keeping up with the due dates. Come to the office hours when you need me. And I will be posting... Oh, this is one thing I didn't mention. So I'll also post videos with these. So that's sort of my side of it. So I'm going to record videos just like this one. Maybe I'll have slides, things like that, where I go over each lab with you and give you some background information, so like a brief lab lecture about each lab. And you'll find that inside each folder, it will be a link just like the one, if you're watching this, you've already seen one of them, right? Okay, so it'll be to my YouTube site, and I do that because I think it's the easiest way for you to consume it. That way you can use your phone or your Xbox or whatever it is that's easiest for you to use at the time, and you don't have to shuffle through Blackboard for those, because I don't particularly care for the recording system that's built into Blackboard. Okay, so unless I get told otherwise, that's how I'll be doing it. But yeah, you'll find videos in the folders just pertaining to the labs, background information, what exactly you're supposed to do in the lab, and then, particular lab safety for each lab if it's necessary to go over. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, you can email me, and I went ahead and I gave you my email address in this first announcement, so in case you don't have it, it should be in your syllabus once that goes up. Your lecture professor will go over more things in detail. And in terms of, I didn't mention this, but in terms of how these will be graded, the complete details will be in your syllabus. But basically, there's 13 labs. I'll grade the highest 12. In other words, I'll drop the lowest lab, and they'll all be weighted evenly. So those particular details will be in the lecture syllabus. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here, and when I talk to you again, I'll be talking to you about lab safety.